Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the West Haymarket JPA to order. To my right is Regent Tim Clare, and to my left is Councilman Tom Beckius. I'm Mayor Leering Gaylor Baird, and we are here to hold a public meeting that is subject to the State Open Meetings Act, a copy of which is posted in the back of our chambers. The clerk, as we go through the agenda, will read each item, and staff will then come forward to present information on that item. We'll take public comment, and if each speaker could please state their name and address for the record, and note that testimony is limited to 5 minutes per speaker. And we do have a long agenda today, and because this room is booked for another public meeting at 3:45, we are asking that anyone who comes forward to testify could please try to keep their comments brief. We certainly want to hear from you, but we are trying to make sure that we have time to complete this meeting. So thank you for any assistance in that endeavor. And also, I just want to note that I will be excusing myself just before 3, at which point the Vice Chair, Regent Tim Clare, will begin chairing the meeting. And with that, Casey, would you please call the first item?
Approval of the minutes from the JPA meeting held August 25th, 2023.
Move approval. Second.
Moved by Claire, second by Beckius. Any discussion or changes to the minutes? All right, seeing none, please call the roll.
Gaylor Baird,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. The next item is approval of the payment register for August through November 2023 and review of the expenditure report as of November 30th, 2023.
Good afternoon, board members. Lynn Heaton, 555 South 10th Street, JPA Treasurer and City Finance Director. And I know you have a very full agenda today, so I will keep my highlights remarks brief. You do have the documents in your agenda, and here are the highlights of the payment register for the period of August through November 2023. Very typical quarterly expense here amount, but $1,003,000, $761 to the District Energy Corporation for the August 2023 through November 2023 period. Just for your information, $748,932 or 74.6% was actually collected from customers to offset the DEC charges. The JPA paid $639,819 to the City of Lincoln Parking Services for the June 2023 through September 23 parking garage management. During the same period, the JPA collected just over $1 million in parking revenue. $333,500 to University of Nebraska-Lincoln for men's and women's basketball season tickets for suites and loges. That's per the suite and loge contracts and as approved by as part of the current budget. $98,372 to the City of Lincoln for fourth quarter fiscal year 22-23 city staff costs as adopted in the 22-23 JPA operating budget. Pursuant to Board Resolution WH01364, $128,352 to Daktronics for software upgrades for the scoreboard and ribbon control boards. $13,185 to DLR Group for PBA pedestrian bridge assessment, and that was arranged and managed through project control, and that's per Board Resolution WH01375. $342,169 to City Risk Management for the fiscal year 23-24 annual insurance premiums. This is things such as general liability insurance, property insurance, public officials insurance, and the like. And then finally, a number of items paid to the Pinnacle Bank Arena account as managed by our arena operator. $706,701 total for things such as arena repair, maintenance, and minor equipment for the periods of June 23 through September 23. $64,836 was paid under a contract approved by the board for the LED display board, which is at the top of the escalators. $43,615 for technical upgrades to equipment. This is PC replacements, cameras, sound processes, and other operating equipment. $262,500 for first quarter 23-24 sponsorships, and this is paid from the Learfield or IMG marketing and promotional revenue. And then finally, $150,000 for first quarter fiscal year 23-24 operating increment.
Clarification.
Yes.
Number 3.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I missed that. Actually, yes, $12,800 for heavy-duty cable ramps. And I'm not quite sure what the heavy-duty cable ramps are. I guess might have to get, if you need more information on that. But yes, sorry, I missed that one. I do like to make sure to share with you, but this is as of the end of last fiscal year, but occupation tax revenues, this is the line graph that shows the actuals to date, which is the gray, compared to original projections, and the yellow or orange line is future projections. Just to cover occupation taxes, year-to-date occupation taxes, $6 million. A little over $6 million. That is a 5.91% increase over the prior year.
I think so.
Through November, we've collected 27.3% of the budgeted annual amount, and that is ahead of the 25% of time elapsed during that those months, and is better than the 26.4% of budget that is averaged through the November period since inception. So, it put another way that we've shared with the board in the past, the occupation tax revenues are the equivalent of what was projected for the year 2042 when they were first established. And this is just so you can see a little more information on projected cash balances going forward. And we always want to make sure we're staying above that orange line or red line.
When is our second tranche due on the baseball fields?
To be April 1st.
Heck of a day.
All right.
Thank you, Director Heaton. Are there
Thank
any
you.
questions? Okay. We take public comment on these items at this time.
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. So the occupation taxes are not just from the Pinnacle Arena, they're from the whole city, right?
They are, pursuant to the adopted and approved occupation tax on restaurants, bars, hotels, and long-term car rentals.
Okay, not on purchases that we pay other occupation taxes.
It's on those taxable gross sales at those establishments.
Those items, okay. So what percent, or do you know, would come just from the arena?
I don't have how much the arena itself has paid toward the occupation taxes. There is taxable food and beverage at the arena itself. I don't have that handy. It would be a very small percentage since the total, all of the city limits is subject to.
Okay. So the taxpayers are, in essence, a large part of that income from occupation.
The economic activity within the city is generating that revenue, yes.
Okay. Let's see, what else? So the expenditures for the arena are going up tremendously.
I would, they are the budgeted expenditures on budgeted projects approved by the board for the 23-24 budget.
Yeah. But you've already spent quite a bit of money on the arena. So I assume what is on this agenda today is in addition to the arena total of 706,000 plus that's already been spent, right? That's back on the payment registers?
This payment register is through November 30th, which is, all of the information is through November 30th.
Okay. But what's on the agenda today is
Oh,
in addition-
the later items?
No, on the agenda today are look like $1 million or more.
Are you referring to the contracts that are on the rest of the remainder of
The
today's agenda?
resolutions today.
Gotcha. Those wouldn't be paid to the Pinnacle Bank Arena account. Many of those are approved capital improvement projects that would be paid to the vendors and contractors that are doing that work.
But is that in addition to this register that says 706?
Yes.
on page 1.
It wouldn't be limited to just that line item. That line item is only amounts paid to the Pinnacle Bank Arena account. And so those contracts that you'll see on the agenda yet today are going to be, those payments will be made to vendors and contractors.
Well, I guess I'm not making myself clear. You have, from August to November, you have Pinnacle Bank Arena, 604,774, $706,701. That's already been expended on repairs.
Yep, that's through
1
November.
minute.
That's through November.
Okay. Then today, there's resolutions for over $1 million or so, which will be in addition to this, correct?
It would be.
Okay. So, what I would like to say for the taxpayers is that the arena is becoming more and more costly. And I think there needs to be an accounting of why this is happening. It's not very transparent. It's real easy to spend other people's money. Let me say that. And I have not experienced in this years that the leadership has
5
been
minutes.
a hawk on spending money for the arena. And
Ms. Kinsey, your time is up. If you want to comment on the next item, we'd be happy to take further testimony, but we want to
Okay.
keep moving on. Thank you. All right, Casey, could you call the next item?
Do we get a motion?
Oh, sorry, right, let's vote. Can I get a motion on the payment register?
Move.
Okay, moved by Beckius, seconded by Claire. Any further discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. The next item is bill number WH24-1, resolution authorizing a withdrawal of the equivalent of 2 annual operational increment amounts totaling $1,200,000 transferred from the Pinnacle Bank Arena account to the West Haymarket JPA account.
Welcome back.
Hello, good afternoon again. Lynn Heaton, City Finance Director, Treasurer for the West Haymarket JPA and 555 South 10th Street. Really glad to bring this item to the board. What this item represents is the return of the additional operational increment of $600,000 that was authorized by the board in fiscal year 1920 in Board Resolution WH01194. That additional operational increment was approved during fiscal year 1920 in recognition of the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. What we are recommending today is, in addition to the return of that $600,000 that represented that additional operational increment in 1920, the equivalent of 1 year worth of operational increment, or an additional $600,000, due to the excellent financial performance of the arena over the past several years. The chart that I've shared on the projector shows what is the PBA, from the PBA income statement that is a part of each of your agendas. That income statement represents the revenues and expenses of the Pinnacle Bank Arena account, which is separate from the JPAs, the JPA fund. The Pinnacle Bank Arena account is the account managed day to day pursuant to the the management agreement by the operator ASM Global. The retained earnings is essentially the bottom line in that monthly income statement that we share with you. The retained earnings is a cumulative running balance, if you will, of revenues versus expenses from that PBA account. The orange line that is shown on this is the retained earnings balance. It is the ending balance of that cumulative amount that's happened since the inception of the Pinnacle Bank Arena account. The blue bar is the net income or net loss on an annual basis for each of the years shown there. So beginning with fiscal year 17, you can see that the net income was, and the dollar values, by the way, that you see are for the points in time on the orange line. What you can see, though, is over time, we have had a very strong, there's been a very strong recovery following the pandemic in the Pinnacle Bank Arena account, such that as we've worked with the ASM Global, Tim Savona and his team there, we've come to a conclusion that there is an opportunity to, number one, return that additional operational increment of $600,000 to the JPA fund, so it'll be transferred from the PBA account to this separate JPA fund, plus that additional $600,000, which essentially represents 1 year's worth of that has happened since the pandemic. Again, because of what you can see from the chart, very strong net revenues. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the board?
So we're 18 years ahead on the occupation tax. Back another $1.2 million. So by all indications, it looks like the arena is doing very, very, very well.
Yes, sir.
And you've been here from the very beginning, so congratulations.
Maybe there's a correlation there.
Yes. Don't leave this board, Regent Claire. Okay.
It's going down.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we entertain public comment on this item.
So if this is so prosperous, why is the board giving them more money? Why transfer that 600,000 or 1,200,000 and use it for maintenance?
It is available for maintenance, and the board will discuss later today these additional needs of the arena on the contracts that are on the agenda.
Why if there's 600,000 or 200,000, why aren't they paying and it's so prosperous, why aren't they paying their own bills then?
The arena is paying bills. There's that separate PBA account is responsible for certain bills, but the management agreement that's set up this has the JPA covering certain expenses and the Pinnacle Bank Arena account covering certain expenses.
So when you show that in your payment registers, the 700,000 plus, that didn't come out of the prosperous figures of the arena. That came out of the bond money.
It came out of the occupation tax revenues and other JPA revenues.
What are the other revenues?
Parking revenues, DEC, the billings for passing through District Energy Corporation, billings to the customers in the JPA.
Okay. The bond money is included in the JPA.
The bonds are paid from the JPA fund, not from the PBA account.
Okay. So, what's included in the JPA that totally pays for the bond? The
Yes.
interest and the bonds?
Yes, the debt service payments are made from the JPA fund.
So where is the money coming to pay the $760,000 that was paid according to the payment register?
Pursuant to the management agreement, the JPA is responsible for certain maintenance and capital improvement expenses that are then paid to the PBA account.
Yeah, I understand that. Where's that money coming from?
Those would also be occupation tax revenues, parking revenues, DEC, pass-through.
Just those revenues?
Those are the main ones for the JPA fund.
So the way it's set up, the occupation tax is paying for the PBA expenses.
It is a city-owned arena, and therefore the expenses to do the capital improvements and or rather, it's a JPA-owned arena. The city manages on behalf of the JPA, but that is JPA responsibility since it is a JPA arena.
Yeah, I know the responsibility. The money
Yeah,
is coming from occupation tax.
and the other revenues that I mentioned that are JPA
Okay,
revenues.
those are the three.
Main ones. There's a few others.
Okay, so the bond money is protected.
Yes, first priority is the bond payments.
All right, so if occupation taxes don't work out, then the taxpayers have to pick up that bill.
The occupation tax revenues, as indicated, it's been very strong.
1 minute.
Well, I'm not saying anything about that. I'm saying the taxpayers will have to pick that up.
The bonds do indicate that if the occupation tax revenues were insufficient, that property taxes are a backstop.
Okay. So, but the arena is not self-supporting.
Yes, it is. In fact, the arena is doing so well that this resolution would return $1.2 million from the arena account.
But they were given that as a gift.
But the management and the operations is doing very well.
But they were given that as a gift.
I wouldn't call it a gift. It's been part of the management agreement from day one.
Okay. Where's the money that they got from the feds for the pandemic?
That was part of this PBA account.
It was? Okay. So that has not all been spent.
5 minutes.
I don't know. It became part of the fund balance after it was, I think, primarily expended during the year in which it was received.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to comment on this item? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Second?
Moved by Claire, second by Beckius. Any further discussion? No. All right, please call the roll.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Motion carried, 3-0.
Thank you.
I'll excuse myself now and hand the reins over.
Bill number WH-24-2, resolution authorizing the chairperson and/or purchasing agent to enter into a contract or issue a purchase order to the lowest responsible bidder, Robbins Sports Surfaces, for the purchase of a portable basketball floor for the Pinnacle Bank Arena for a sum not to exceed $150,012.
Good afternoon, Chris Connolly, City Law Department. This is a purchase of a new floor, as we're required to do every few years. The actual purchase price was closer to $200,000, but we got credit on the old floor for about $35,000, I believe, somewhere in that neighborhood. In any event, this is something that we're required to do, and so we've gone ahead and we did bid this out. So, any questions?
No?
Anybody in the public that would like to testify? Anybody in the public that would like to testify on this?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. Why is it required? Because
Because-
this is the third that has been purchased since this started. And we had a big issue before because the lowest bid came in and Tom Lorenz didn't like it because he wanted something else. So you say this is required. What does required mean?
We have an agreement with the university that we are to replace the basketball floor every 3 or 4 years. I can't remember the exact number, but we're required to do that under contract,
Original contract?
original contract.
And it never came up before that with that statement, and I've been here almost every time. And so what else is required in the contract?
Well, you'd have to read the contract. I mean,
Okay.
you're allowed to read that if you wish.
Okay, I would like to read that so that the public would know what is required. It seems excessive that, and you know, the Pinnacle Bang Arena does all these car things, rodeos, which certainly isn't good on I wouldn't think on a.
Well, the floor is not there for that,
It isn't?
No.
They remove it?
correct.
So what did they put in there then?
There's concrete, I believe, underneath that, and they'll put dirt or sand or something on the
Okay.
surface.
So the floor is protected then at that time?
Or yes, it's stored. It's taken off in pieces and stored in the building.
But they don't think that when they're protecting it like that it should last longer than that?
No, the wood apparently does age a little bit and makes a difference to the players who are actually on the floor. And the university has high standards for floors, and that was part of the agreement that we would honor that high standard.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll ask.
On top of that, the high school boys and girls state championship games are played there, and which adds a lot of wear and tear
That's
to it
true.
as well.
Yes.
Is that a gift to the that program?
No,
I don't know.
Is that with
That-
the contract with the
the
university?
contract that gets done with NSAA to conduct those tournaments.
It's part of this contract
It's
or
not-
separate
It's a separate contract.
about what they will do with
Correct.
the arena? Okay. Okay, well, I'd like to see that contract then. Do I need a FOIA or can I just ask you for it?
I can send it to you.
Okay.
I'll need to get your email address.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay, good, thank you.
Anybody else want to testify from the public? You have any other further comments?
I don't. No, I'll move approval.
Second. Call the roll.
Beckius?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item is WH 24-3, resolution to approve a contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Alpha Video and Audio for a total amount not to exceed $466,211.17 for an IPTV system for the Pinnacle Bank Arena pursuant to bid number 23-223.
This is for modems and controllers and other things, the guts of a video system, if you will, within the building. The old system has just basically aged out, and it was time for a new one. And so this is the low bid for this work to be done. Any questions?
No, no questions. I think it's always, important to remember the scale of the building that we're talking about oftentimes, and the equipment that needs to go into it in order to operate it.
There's dozens of TVs around the building, and that's what is controlled by this system.
Well, don't forget too, the building is 10+ years old,
Right,
so things wear out.
exactly.
All right. Any questions, Tom?
No questions.
Any questions from the public?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. That's an interesting comment that it's aged out. What's going to happen when all of this JPA and the bond is paid for? Then that will go to the taxpayers. And at that time, will occupation tax cover that?
That still is yet to be determined.
Okay. So we're getting towards, the bond is down, the years are coming. So is that the administration or the JPA's job to determine?
To determine what happens after the bonds are done, it will depend on whether the city does take it over, which it has the right to do, or whether the JPA remains in existence, and we'll have to see what happens at that time.
Okay,
That's still a ways
so
away.
the JPA could be extended, their authority?
It might be. It's legally that could happen.
Okay, and how many years are left on the bond?
Goes till
Payment.
2045, I believe, is when the bonds go
Okay,
to.
so 20 more years, yeah, okay. So this administration won't be here at that time, it'll be something else, okay?
I will be gone.
Okay. Is that in the contract, anything about that?
There is not, when you say the contract, I guess I don't know which one you're referring to.
Well, the one about the whole setup for managing the arena or the bond or anything.
There's not a particular contract that requires installation of this TV system, but it's part of the amenities that we provide for the entertainment of the customers.
Okay. Is it aged out? Is it exceeding what was originally there, or is it just an addendum?
It's the original system, and it's 10 years old. These systems have an end of life, and that's where this one is.
Okay. Who decides that?
The staff over at the managers of the building, when they reach a point where they feel like the system can't work any longer, then they will talk to us about it and say it's time to get it replaced. This particular item, I believe, was due to really be replaced a couple of years ago, but was held off because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. So just some employees decide this?
Well, the people that have to do the repairs on it all the time, and at a point where the repairs just aren't justified anymore, then they'll ask to have the system replaced.
Is that written discussion, or is that just off the record?
We trust their judgment, and that we believe they've done a very good job. And when they come and ask us for replacement of systems like this, we ask for some justification, and they provide it. And then it's, of course, up to the board to make the final decision.
Okay. I think that ought to be published to the public, and they know where the money is going.
Contract is here.
Okay. That's good. And I would hope that the newspaper would publish that, and also some of the other media that we have, because I don't think people know about that.
Anybody else from the public?
I'll move approval of WH 24-3.
Second. Moved and seconded. Call the roll.
Beckius?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. The next item is WH 24-4, resolution to approve a contract between the West Haymarket JPA and AVSE for a total amount not to exceed $74,975 for new TVs for the Pinnacle Bank Arena pursuant to bid number 23-302.
Okay, this is an agreement to purchase new TVs that go along with the system that was just approved. Now, when this contract was originally bid, the low bid came back originally at $92,755. During the course of the process here, in talking with the supplier, they were unable to deliver that product, those particular models of TVs. And so they switched to a newer grade or a higher grade TV, but it means that we're unable to buy as many TVs. And so the amount you're seeing now, $74,975, represents a reduction in the amount being spent, but it also represents fewer TVs being spent because of the newer TVs actually cost more per unit. Now, all this just happened within the last week, and so when the resolution was first published, it showed the amount of $92,755. So there is a motion to amend to reflect the new amount of $74,975.
So from Robert's, how do we do this, Robert's Rule of Order, in terms of the original contract, amendment, and all that, just to do it right? How do we do that?
Motion to amend, vote on the motion to amend, and then vote on the original.
Okay.
Okay, move amendment.
Second. Oh, wait, we got a public comment first. I'm sorry, Jane, I forgot you.
You would like to?
Never.
Oh, yeah. I had feedback that you hate me, which doesn't bother me at all because the public needs to speak.
I've never said that.
Huh?
I've never said that.
No, you didn't say that. But you don't like it. That's fine. I don't take it personally. Hope you don't either. But anyway, so they got money before and now this is an additional?
Well, have you been to Pinnacle Bank Arena?
I avoid it.
Okay, well, then I will
Most
tell you.
people in my age group do.
I will tell you that there are TV screens around the arena for many different purposes. Those TV screens wear out also, and that's what's happening here. The system is being replaced, and now this particular contract is for the actual TVs.
Okay. To replace all of them, just
I don't
totally
believe it's all
replace
of
them?
them, but
Okay.
it's most of them, I
Okay.
believe.
Did you say something, though, that this was an addendum, you'd already spent 92?
No, when it was originally bid, the original contract price was $92,755. The manufacturer then said that they were unable to deliver all the models that we needed, and that the only thing they could do was give us a higher grade television, which would cost more. So we reduced the number of TVs that we're asking for, which reduces the price down to $74,975.
Which, reduced from what to what?
Well, the original, from $92,755 was what we were originally gonna pay. Now we're gonna pay $74,975.
Okay, but I thought you said reduce the number.
Oh, the number,
We reduced the quantity of TVs
TV.
we're ordering,
right, from what to what?
from 110 down to 90.
From what?
From 110 down to 90, so 20 less.
20 less,
televisions.
okay. But you still get the same,
We actually get a better TV now.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Any further comments from the public?
I'll reiterate my motion to amend.
Second. Call the roll on the amendment, and then we'll go back and pick up the actual item.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Move approval as amended.
Second.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I'll make sure you get that right.
We don't do those very often.
Yeah.
Business tax guy.
The next item, WH 24-5, resolution to approve a contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Wired Inc. for a total amount not to exceed $14,487.14 for loading dock power improvement for the Pinnacle Bank Arena pursuant to bid number 23-234.
This is a contract to install, to get some more power back in the back of the arena, back by the loading docks. They've determined that there's an additional need for some outlets and that kind of thing to provide equipment to be run during that time, and so this is the cost of installing that power. Any questions?
No questions.
Okay, questions from the public?
Well, again, it's really easy to spend other people's money. Employees don't always understand budgets, and they can say, well, we need this. And actually, even if you trust their judgment, they need to be warned in some way that, you can't have everything you want. This is the way the world operates for private people, and governments are prone to spend money freely. There's nothing that the public can do about that except vote people out, but they can't vote out staff. So what they have to do is make noise about it. Unfortunately, people are busy and they can't do that. So we are one organization that does make noise about that. But it is upsetting to think that and to hear that staff just says, well, we need this, and so the money is spent. Are there any incentives for them to be careful about what they want, to some kind of saving of money, the public's money?
If costs are too high, it could impact what they get for their compensation.
That's the agreement with them?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay. So the public can feel that they are looking out for the bottom line. Or do you think that?
Do I think they're looking out for us on the bottom? Yes, I do.
Do you? Okay. You spoke about it.
Further public comments?
Seeing none, I'll move approval of the resolution.
Second. Call the roll.
Beckius?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. The next item, WH24-6, resolution to approve a contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Brown Brothers Construction, Inc. for a total amount not to exceed $24,041.34 for construction of the understairs storage room for the Pinnacle Bank Arena pursuant to bid number 23-233.
There is a need for storage space within the building to free up floor space in other areas of the building so that new amenities could be put in, that sort of thing. And so this is one of two storage contracts that are really sort of up today. This would be for a storage room to be installed underneath the escalators in the front of the building. It's not an area that could really be used for other purposes anyway, and so this is a good place to be able to build this out. And so we would ask approval for that.
And that's just open space now, right?
It
Chris?
is currently open space, I believe, and right,
Yeah.
so it would be framed in, and
Okay.
yes.
Okay. I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Questions from the public?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. What's going to be stored in there?
I don't remember the specifics.
It's metal detectors, anything, and metal detectors, everything we use for security purposes when we have people come into the building.
So open space for,
No, it's not open space. It will be closed in, but metal detectors, which unfortunately, the metal detectors right now frequently are stored just in the front of the building. And so this would be a place to put some of them, not all of them.
okay. And that was added later on, wasn't it?
What's
The
that?
metal, the metal detectors.
The metal detectors are, yeah, they're portable, but yes, they were added a number of years ago. I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly when.
No, I think it was last year or the year before.
Oh, it's old, it's longer than that.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that all that will be in there?
I doubt it. There'll probably be other miscellaneous items.
They can? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from the public?
Seeing none, I'll move approval.
Second. Call roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire.
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item is WH 24-7, resolution to approve a contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Nebraska Sign Company for a total amount not to exceed $10,951.43 for the purchase of a backstage sign for the Pinnacle Bank Arena pursuant to bid number 23-235.
Okay, so this is a sign that will go back in the area where the loading docks are, or where team buses may be pulling in, that sort of thing. And it can be used for any number of purposes. The letters would be plugged in. It's not a electronic sign. And would be able to direct people in a certain direction, or it could be used to welcome people. Any number of things can be used on a sign, but they felt like there was a need to have that available. That way staff and personnel that might otherwise be needed to direct people in a certain direction, they can be doing other things. But with that, we would ask for approval.
Okay.
No questions.
Any questions from the public?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. So this is a convenience for them?
Well, if it helps staff be able to do other things, then it's an assist for them.
These expenditures, if they were not made, would it just sit in a bank account earning interest? The money that's coming for it?
Perhaps it would be used on another project. I don't know how to answer that.
Oh, okay. So they know that this money, the staff knows the money's there, and that if they decide they need this, that, and the other, they can ask for it. Is that right?
They visit with us periodically about projects that they would like to get done, and we will visit with them and decide whether or not we can afford and do the kinds of things that they want to do. And so we have those kinds of discussions.
From money that's available.
From money that's available.
Available, right. And I guess we have to wonder, as an employee, are you, do they get together and decide we need this and the money is there and we can spend it, rather than, well, let's just save it and let it earn interest?
Well, they put together a list of the wants and needs that they feel are important to operating the building, and then they will approach city staff who actually can spend that kind of money. And they will visit with us and give us the justifications for whatever it is they're looking to do. So they aren't making the decision as to whether or not the money's there. They're just telling us what it is that they feel like they need. They will get some estimates on costs, so they will give us some ideas on what it does cost to do whatever. But in terms of making the decision as to whether to leave it in the bank account or not, that's not technically their decision.
All right, right. So they would be like in a family, children that would say, we want this, and then it would be up to the parents or the money people, the JPA board, or
I'm not sure I would put it. I'm not sure I would put it in terms of a family. I would put it in terms of a business. They're not employees of the city, obviously, but they're contractors for us, and it's their duty to make sure the building is kept up and in good shape. And if they see something failing, they're going to say, we need to replace this or do something, make some repair. And they will get some ideas on what that cost is, and will bring it to us, and if we agree with them, if they can justify it, then we'll put it on the agenda and let the board make the decision.
Do they ever say no? The board?
I can't recall off the top of my head when they've rejected something that was already on the agenda. Do I think there's been times when there projects that were too expensive to even get to the point of putting it on the agenda? Yes.
Okay. So the public has to trust that the board has the power to say no and will say no in the interest of the taxpayers.
There's no question that the board has the power to say no.
1 minute.
Okay. Were these things, well, this particular thing, the storage is new. This is new also, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Further comments from the public?
Seeing none, I'll move approval.
Second.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire.
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item is WH 24-8, resolution to approve a contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Theatrical Media Services for a total amount not to exceed $47,540 for a follow spot for the Pinnacle Bank Arena pursuant to bid number 23-236.
Spotlights or something, these would be one of the big manual spotlights that you see that gets used for lighting up stages and that sort of thing. This is a unit that's at the end of its life, useful life, and is a replacement. And this was bid out, so what we would ask for approval.
No questions?
Members of the public, if they have questions or comments on this, now would be the time.
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. So this would be something that wore out,
Correct.
and what was the life for it? Do you know?
The life.
Uh-huh.
Well, I think this is one of the items that we wanted to really replace 2 or 3 years ago, but held off because of the pandemic. And so really its useful life was over probably 7 or 8 years.
Okay. Thank you.
Further public comment?
Seeing none, I'll move approval.
Second.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire.
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item is WH 24-9, resolution authorizing the chairperson and/or purchasing agent to issue a purchase order to the lowest responsible bidder, Douglas Equipment, for the purchase of double-wide refrigerators for the Pinnacle Bank Arena for a sum not to exceed $77,802.90.
This is something to not only enhance the experience of the customers, but also to help generate additional revenues. These are double-wide refrigerators that will be put out along the walls inside on the various floors, and will enable people to get beverages and things that are cold in nature faster, so they can get to they'll set up separate cashier stands, and will allow customers to get their items to drink, which typically will be in there, faster, and again, help generate revenues. And we would ask for approval.
And remind me, this is kind of a setup, a tactic that you see in airports nowadays, that sort of thing, correct?
Grab and go.
Grab and go.
Grab and go.
We don't
Correct.
refer to them as tactics.
Oh, sorry. Options. Okay. Okay, very good. Well, I think that this will go a long way in hopefully speeding up some concession items too. So,
Yep.
Good deal. Thanks.
Members of the public? Public comment? Okay, seeing none.
Move
Call-
approval.
Second, call a roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire.
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. WH 24-10, resolution authorizing the chairperson and/or purchasing agent to issue a purchase order to the lowest responsible bidder, Hamilton Equipment, for the purchase of a utility work vehicle for the Pinnacle Bank Arena for a sum not to exceed $76,715.
This is a four-wheel utility vehicle, kind of like a Gator size, if you're familiar with those, and will be used to pull heavy pieces of equipment, put various things in the back. There's a small dump bed on it. It will also have a plow on it for pushing snow, and also will have a bucket on it to help lift things or scoop things if necessary. We would then ask, and this was a low bid, and so we would ask approval.
No questions.
Public comment, please.
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. As I remember, they asked for a utility vehicle before.
I don't recall that.
You don't? Well, they asked for some kind of a vehicle to,
There, in the past, what I recall was that there were some old surplus vehicles that the city had that were transferred to the JPA to
Okay.
pull trailers back and forth to Pinewood Bowl.
okay,
But those were very old trucks and didn't have a long life left in them.
okay.
This
so-
is a new piece of equipment.
New piece, okay. And a new purpose?
Well, again, the purpose is within the building to help pull pieces of equipment around and to carry things. It also will have a snow plow on it to help clear snow, and we'll have a bucket on it that's attachable anyway to help with various things that they may need to use a bucket. Could be snow, could be landscaping, any number of items.
Mm-hmm.
Could be moving sand and dirt around that gets put on the floor inside the arena. There's a number of uses for it.
Is that their job to do?
Yes,
It is?
yes. I mean, they're responsible for making sure that things are placed properly, and so, yes, somebody else may be trucking in the dirt or the sand or whatever, but they might be able to, one of the possibilities is they can use this to help sort of clean up around the edges and that sort of thing.
Okay. So this other vehicle is not in use, or it has a different purpose?
You're talking about the trucks that I was
Yeah.
referring, those were disposed of long ago.
They
Because
were.
they didn't have much life left on them to begin with. Plus, those are used on the road. This is not a road vehicle.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Further public comment?
Seeing none, I'll move approval.
Second.
Beckius?
Yes.
Claire?
Second. Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. WH 24-11, resolution authorizing the chairperson and/or purchasing agent to issue a purchase order to the lowest responsible bidder, D&D Communications First Wireless, for the purchase of portable handheld radios for the Pinnacle Bank Arena for a sum not to exceed $60,176.08.
This is another replacement item. These are handheld radios that the staff carry around with them, not only during the regular workday, but during various events so they can communicate with each other. And again, they've all reached the end of their useful life, and so we would ask for approval.
No questions.
Public comment?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. Is when they ask for a replacement, are they required to give some justification for that, like proving the warranties on them, or?
Well, the warranties were long gone on these units. These are very old units, and the cost to repair or replace them individually just became unjustifiable. And so a decision was made to replace a number of them, and I guess I don't know for sure, but my guess is that they work on a slightly different system, and you need to have them all working on the same system.
Okay. But are they asked to show the average life, or is it, their just word is taken for it?
No, they tell us that they've had a number of breakdowns, that they're short on a number of handheld units, that kind of thing, or that it's, and I don't recall what they were telling us about the cost to get these things repaired, if they can. For the most part, as I understand, if I recall right, they were just having difficulty getting them fixed, and they were just running low, or they don't have as many handheld units as they would like to have, and so this will replace and get them, I believe, back up to the complement that they want.
Okay. So they're not additional, they're just replaced.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, further public comment?
Seeing none, I'll move approval.
Second.
Beckius?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item, WH 24-12, resolution to approve an agreement between the West Haymarket JPA and DLR Group for engineering services for the venue upgrade study at the Pinnacle Bank Arena for an amount not to exceed $86,800.
This is part of a plan to bring in DLR, who did the original design of the arena, to look at the level where the suites and loge boxes are, to see what can be done to improve the space, maybe to upgrade some things. That floor is a great area for generating revenues for a number of things, for parties and the bar that's up there and that sort of thing. And so it's important in an area like that to maintain a good current look that's appealing to customers. And so this is the first step, not just for that area, but other areas of the building also that might be improved or might want to look at an upgrade. So they're just going to study it, think of some ideas that could be done with these spaces, and then report back what those are. And there's no commitment at this time to do any of those follow-up projects. And so we would ask approval at this time.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say thank you for the thought behind enhancing the user experience in order to continue to drive revenue. Always important. No questions.
Public comment?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. So who says this is, Mr. Beckius, who says this is going to drive revenue?
I think generally speaking, when we keep our facilities up to date, that enhances the user experience and invites folks to come on back regularly.
But this is an upgrade.
Well, if I can answer that a little bit. The furniture and the fixtures in the area are original, so go back 10 years. And it's not unusual to want to upgrade, I say upgrade, replace furniture, maybe do different paint on the walls, look at different light fixtures for some parts of it, but we don't know yet. They need to come back and tell us what that is. But the building's at an age where some of these kinds of things need to be looked at. And it's important to keep that floor vibrant and appealing to people. Money gets spent on that floor. We want people to come in and enjoy themselves, and we know that will drive revenues.
So you're hoping to get more, by doing this, that you're going to get more of the public involved in it?
We hope to get more customers, yes, and repeat customers, yes.
Is that their job to decide, or just to make recommendations for what it cost?
Well, it's, when you say their job to decide, it's the board's job to decide if this is appropriate. It was brought to staff as an idea that it's time to start looking at this, and we agreed with that assessment. And so now we're asking the board to approve this contract so DLR can go out and do this study and give us some ideas as to what they think can and should be done. And then the board, of course, will still have the final word on any projects that would come out of that study. Nothing's going to happen immediately as a result of the study.
Right. But this didn't come from the staff. This came from...
It was an idea and a recommendation from ASM Global, but these are the kinds of ideas that we asked them to look after for us. And knowing that the building is 10 years old, and I've been on that floor enough to know that the furniture is starting to look a little dated. And so, yes, it's time to think about those kinds of things.
Well, that would be a personal opinion. When people have a home or a business, they decide whether they want to expend the money to upgrade, so to speak, or to, if it's looking deteriorating. And that's usually based on a profit. The profit families have, and the profit from a business. But this is not based on profit. It's just in a account somewhere that can be used. And I guess that's the way government operates. They just think, oh, we want it, and we have the money, and so we're going to spend it. You could bring in the public, and you'd have all kinds of opinions about whether it needed an upgrade or not, depending on the way that they feel about spending taxpayers' money. So it's a worry to the people who care about how public money is spent. And
1 minute.
it's very, it just appears at this time with this meeting that there's no end to it, besides what they spent in the last quarter. And concerning.
Further public comment?
Seeing none, move approval.
Second.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire.
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item is WH 24-13, resolution to approve a contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Interconnects for a total amount not to exceed $62,387.96 for security cameras for the Pinnacle Bank Arena pursuant to bid number 23-280.
This is a combination of replacement of some cameras and addition of some new cameras in areas that weren't as visible as perhaps they should be. And so this is necessary for proper security of the building, and we would ask approval.
Members of the public?
One of the first things that the public can feel comfortable about expending money on for security. That's the bottom line of government is to protect the citizens of its jurisdiction. And so, hallelujah for that.
Further public comment?
Seeing none, I'll move approval.
Second.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire.
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item is WH 24-14, resolution to approve a contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Commonwealth Electric Company of the Midwest for a total amount not to exceed $163,977 for a new Lutron control system for the Pinnacle Bank Arena pursuant to bid number 23-287.
This is another replacement item. It replaces the light control system for the entire interior of the building. This is not light fixtures, but this is the electronic drivers and controllers for those lights throughout the building. And we would ask for approval.
No questions.
No comments here. Public comment, please.
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. So this is for the new, this is an addendum for the new lights.
Well, it's not an addendum, but we're asking the board to approve purchase of a new light system, not the lights themselves.
Okay, and the system is like what?
It has the controllers and, turn certain lights on, turn certain lights off. They can program certain lights as to when they would come on or not. Some of it is just for house purposes, when there's no shows going on. Some of it is used for the spotlights on the basketball floor, or use for during shows and that kind of thing.
But they didn't have it before, huh?
No, we did. This is an old system. It's past the end of its useful life.
Okay, so this is new.
It is not new. It's a
Oh, it is.
replacement.
Okay, replacement. But it works with the new light system?
It will work with the lights that we have.
Okay.
Further public comment?
Seeing none,
This-
move approval.
These lights will shut off when the opposing team is shooting a free throw, correct?
That's the first thing that gets programmed in, yes.
Perfect. Move approval.
Second.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire.
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item is WH 24-15, resolution to approve a contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Mitsubishi Electric for a total amount not to exceed $144,680 for new LED corner scoreboards for the Pinnacle Bank Arena pursuant to bid number 23-278.
Okay, in each of the four corners of the arena, there are small scoreboards that, as you're leaving the floor area, and this will replace those scoreboards with video monitors, basically, that will, and so there's a number of things that can be done that can have the score
We can
and
have
the
a lot more
information.
different graphics up, right?
Right, you can
Okay.
do all kinds of graphics, you can do some advertising there, and so
Okay.
it can generate some revenues as well. And that would be a difference, because the current scoreboards that are there, there's no revenue that can be generated.
Those scoreboards right now are kind of a little bit more high school
Yes.
scoreboards?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just, they just have a singular set of data to it, you can't change it.
Okay.
All you can do is turn on lights and turn on the clock.
Okay.
So, we would ask for approval, though.
Public comment?
So is this a new idea?
It is not a new idea, it is a new system, it's an updated system. But one of the advantages of this system is it can generate some revenues, because we can, at certain points, you could do advertising on it, whereas these old scoreboards, you can't.
Okay. Why weren't something like that put in at that time?
Well, they weren't available.
No? Not at all?
I don't believe so. There's been a lot of technology in the building that wasn't available at the time it was built.
But some of it also was not planned for either. The light system wasn't planned for, the new light system wasn't planned for originally.
Well,
And,
light systems have a lifetime, they don't go forever.
well, you can go to revenue advertising is readily available. But you're saying it wasn't available, this kind of a system wasn't available 10 years ago?
Correct.
So it's revenue's just a side point to it.
Well, it will be used primarily for basketball games, but there will be opportunities there during the basketball games also. During the game, it obviously will show the score and maybe some other graphics that would enhance the fan experience. They'd have more fun with it. But also, there will be some opportunities, I believe, to do some ads on there, which can help generate some revenues.
Okay, hopefully. But again, an upgrade, even though it
Yes.
needs replacing.
Correct.
Public comment, further public comment?
Seeing none, I'll move approval.
Second?
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire.
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item is WH 24-16, resolution to approve a contract between the West Haymarket JPA and REB Steel Equipment Corporation for a total amount not to exceed $105,758.33 for construction of a storage loft for the Pinnacle Bank Arena pursuant to bid number 23-242.
Okay, this is the second storage item that I was referring to in the back again, in the loading dock area. There's going to be some elevated lofts that will be constructed to help store equipment and free up more space in either other storage rooms or on the floor itself. And so this is just sort of a housekeeping kind of a thing, if you will, just something to make operations a little easier, a little more efficient. So we would ask approval.
Yes.
Public comment.
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. So, again, a lot of this is what staff is saying that we need to be able to improve the place. And they have input as to what they need, but it's real easy to spend other people's money, and government does this constantly. Now, JPA and Lincoln are in flush money, but that's not going to happen all the time. And it's concerning that all of this has been approved. There's been no statement to the public about this before this time. And maybe the JPA doesn't think they need to make statement to the public about how they're going and doing and what comes up and that kind of thing. That is concerning. And I don't think today that there's been word to the public about how all of this occurs. So I guess for taxpayers, we would like to know that when all of this is over, as far as the bond money and it goes to the taxpayers, that there would be some kind of slush money to protect the taxpayers from a new bond, a new revenue, or this, that, and the other. I don't hear anything about that. And maybe for some age groups, that won't matter because they won't be here. But for our children, our grandchildren, the burden would be on them. And the way the world is and the way the country is, we need to be concerned about whether we're even going to have a country. And we're going to be able to enjoy the Pinnacle Bank Arena and whatever it provides.
Further public comment?
Seeing none, I'll move approval.
Second.
Beckius?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. Next item is WH 24-17, resolution to approve an amendment to contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Interconnects for a total amount not to exceed $65,000 for physical access and control system equipment and services for the Pinnacle Bank Arena pursuant to MOU 178.
This is another security item. I believe it's an upgrade. This is for additional card readers and other access devices to limit access. It's also part of a piggyback arrangement. The city, the county, and the Public Building Commission are also all buying off of the same contract, which ends up saving money for the JPA, and we would ask for approval.
Public comment?
Go ahead.
Any further public comment? Lynn, would you come up here? I want to ask you a couple of questions as it relates to not only this item, but all the other items that we've talked about today. We spent a fair amount of money here. Are all bond payments current?
Yes,
And that includes interest?
correct.
And you said the occupation tax, if I'm not mistaken, is where we thought it was going to be in 2042.
Correct.
And the staff, maybe this is more of a question for Tim Savona, the staff, if they don't necessarily get what they want, but they do have a duty to enhance the fan experience, which brings in more customers to the arena. My math showed on 16 items, we spent $1.63 million. And that was, we also got an injection of cash from the JPA paying back some monies of 1.2. So our total cash expenditures, if we spent everything today, totals in my mind, nets out at 431,000 and some change, correct?
Yeah.
What does that do to the impact of the financial document that you showed earlier?
Maybe this is
If
what
we
you're
spent
referring to.
everything, if all this was spent today,
Yeah.
what does it do?
Well, every one of these projects were approved by the board for this current fiscal year budget, in the CIP budget. So this chart, I think, was maybe what you're referring to is our cash flow forecast going forward. In fact, the sum of the actual contracts that you approved today are less than was approved in the budget. In fact, the total is about $257,000 because of the competitive bidding and the good work in procuring these contracts. It's actually less than was budgeted.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to ask?
No, I'm good.
Okay. No further public comment then, because
Move approval?
okay. Second.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire.
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0. The
I'm
next,
Are we have one more item? Okay, I'm sorry.
I was just going to announce the next meeting date will be held Thursday, April 25th, 2024 at 2:30 here in council chambers.
Do you need a motion on that?
Motion to adjourn.
We adjourn.
Well, I was just gonna also apologize. We went over our time, so I'm really sorry that
Sorry.
that it took that amount of time. All right, we're adjourned.